Hi there, I'm Vincent Bos, and I'm a life coach, relationship coach, and breakup coach. You can change the language of this podcast in the YouTube video settings. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing why dumpers change forever after months apart. I provide audio coaching for breakup recovery, trying to get an ex back, attracting someone new, and life coaching. Visit www.dateme.tips for more details. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. Subscribe to my weekly support emails. The link is in the description. So now let's get back into today's podcast. And today we are discussing why dumpers change forever after months apart. So if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, you need to know what has altered in their mindset. In today's podcast, I'm discussing 3 things that change forever about your ex after months apart. So let's get straight into this, and point number 1 is they know they have power. Now let me know in the comments if you feel that your ex held the power when in your relationship. Let me know in the comments and let's see what the community thinks. And point number 1 is that your ex-dumper now knows they have the power. So irrespective to whether they did within the relationship, they certainly know they have the power now. And this can sometimes be confusing. Maybe if you think about your relationship deeply, you believe that you held that power balance most of the time. But whether you did or whether you didn't, your ex-dumper took that power once they ended the relationship. And this is based on the concept that they got what they wanted, and unfortunately, you didn't get what you wanted, which of course, in that regard, was for the relationship to keep going. Whereas your now ex got to the moment in their life where they felt, this relationship isn't working for me. If I want to live a happy and fulfilling future within a relationship, it's not going to be with you. And that might sound a very difficult thing to hear right now, and it doesn't mean they're going to be feeling that way forevermore, but we have to accept and understand that at the time of the breakup, they don't believe fulfillment, satisfaction, and happiness is going to be found within the relationship with you. Now, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person, it just means that you two together, unfortunately, are not working in your ex-dumper's mind. Now, the good news is that any feelings they had at the time of the breakup were exactly that, at the time of the breakup. Feelings are in the moment. The way we experience our emotions can change and evolve over time. And when we consider today's podcast about speaking as the months have ticked by post-breakup, there is going to be a whole manner of things which can change and develop in your ex's mindset. But when it comes to power, well, they know that they have it now. Whatever may have changed otherwise in the months since your breakup, they know that they made that choice to end your relationship. They know that you didn't want it to end. That meant that they got what they wanted, and hence, as I said, they feel they have the power. Now, what exactly does that mean in regards to you wanting to reconnect? At this moment in time, they feel that they could come back to you if they wanted. And this presents a possibility that they might start to live their life in a way where they are not too concerned about whether or not you will be there for them if they needed, because they will believe you will be. They will believe that if they decide to change their mind, you will absolutely still be there. And hence, you've got to do everything you can, dumpies, to make sure that you take that power back. And the way you do that is by not falling into the trap of elevating your ex further up that power chart. They already have the power. They have the value. We don't want them to have any more. So you need to make sure that you don't push them on that pedestal any further, because they know they are sitting at the top of a tree. And if you push them even further up there, that isn't going to help you get them back. Instead, we want them at the top of the tree, looking downwards and starting to feel nervous, thinking, wait a minute, my dumpy might not care about me anymore. My dumpy might actually date other people. My dumpy might not be waiting. They might not be my safety net. Instead of me sitting up in this tree, I'm going to look downwards, and maybe I'm going to start coming down the tree as I look for them. So with that analogy, we can see, yes, they have a power. Yes, they have a value. Yes, they know this, but you as a dumpy, it is up to you to make sure you don't push them up any higher, but also you live your life in a way where they become intrigued about you and actually want to start climbing down that tree and start to look for you. And the way you can do that is focus on your life rather than your ex's. Stop chasing your dumper. Most of the time, it isn't going to help. Most of the time, it's going to push them further up that tree rather than bring them downwards. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast. Please like and hype this video. If you like my content, subscribe to the channel to keep updated. And point number 2 is they're looking from the outside in now. So today we're speaking about why dumpers change forever after months apart. And point number 2 is something hugely important to get your head around, even though it may have sounded a little like a tongue twister when I just said it. So in essence, your ex is no longer in the connection with you, as you aren't either. But what this means is that they are now looking from the outside inwards regarding the relationship they had with you, but also as in you as a person. So this means that they aren't being clouded from being in the bubble. And that is exactly what you two were in. When you are in a relationship, you will find yourself in a bubble. And whatever situation you find when you are in a bubble, it is always hard to see what the people from the outside are seeing. Now, you might have examples you can think of here. Maybe, for instance, you had friends or family who thought something about your relationship or your now ex, and you just didn't see it. You didn't believe it. You didn't want to understand it. But now you're on the outside of a relationship. Maybe you are starting to see the point of view of your friends or of your family. Now, you are having that experience, as I've just mentioned, but your ex-the dumper is as well. They are no longer in the bubble. They are viewing the relationship from the outside. They are also viewing you from the outside. Now, this can be good. It can also be not so great as well. And it all depends on how you live your life. Because when you are in a relationship and the love is flowing freely between one another and the levels of romantic emotional attraction are at their highest, there is a possibility that you could almost get away with certain things, get away with mistakes. Maybe you will play that analogy of the get out of jail free card a few times. Now, of course, maybe you crossed a line, which is why unfortunately you were dumped, or maybe you were dumped for a reason which wasn't due to bad behaviour as such, but for whatever reason your ex didn't believe that you two were right for one another at that moment. Either way, there would have been a moment, I'm sure, which you would have played, as I've described, a get out of jail free card, and you could have lived the relationship further down the line. Whereas now, you don't have any of those get out of jail free cards, okay? You don't have any credit in the bank. So if you were to live your life in a way now, which isn't ideal, which isn't great, which isn't attractive, which isn't what your ex is hoping for, unfortunately, this is going to be highlighted even more so. They are no longer in the bubble with you. They are not going to give you a free pass. Now you might be listening and thinking, well, they didn't give me a pass anyway. They dumped me. But trust me, when you were in the relationship, there would have been moments and things where you did get a pass. Maybe you can't really think of them right now, or perhaps you can. But eventually, you sadly either crossed the line or you drifted apart. Either way, the relationship is sadly currently over, and hence you don't have that credit anymore. You have no more cards to play, and any mistakes that you might make now are going to be amplified. So if you lived some bad behaviour when your ex-dumper really, really loved you, maybe you could somewhat get away with it. Not that you should be trying to do that, but it's just the way things are. If you do that bad behaviour now, in whatever way that relates to you and your situation, sadly, your ex-bedumper is much more likely to take a really dim view of it. And hence, you need to be making sure you don't make those mistakes and instead flipping this round to make it an advantage. Because similarly, when you're in the bubble, sometimes the things that you do are not highlighted enough, even when they are good. The reason for this is because things are almost expected. You're in a relationship. There's going to be certain things which are expected of you, and hence you might not necessarily get the credit you deserve when you are in the relationship. Whereas now you are apart, your ex-bedumper will be viewing you in a different light. They'll be almost comparing you to other people they might meet. Now that might sound scary, but it also presents an opportunity. Because if your ex is living a life where they mix with people who are making mistakes in that moment, in the present day, then anything that you do, which is great, and really highlighting how you are their best option, well, that is going to shine really bright. Now, I'm not suggesting that you do something fantastic and then text your ex and say, hey, look what I've done. Of course, that isn't going to help you. That would constitute as chasing and needy behaviour. Instead, you need to live your life the right way and let the universe work in your favour. If you have mutual friends, then anything you do, such as maybe you improve your job situation, maybe you improve your health and fitness, maybe you are living your life in a way now which is more creative, perhaps you have goals, dreams and ambitions which you are ticking and checking off rather than just talking about them and never doing them. Whatever it is, if you have mutual friends, these things that you are doing and achieving will get back to your ex. You don't have to tell them, they just will. Even if you don't have mutual friends, if you speak about and showcase your achievements and improvements on social media, your ex is likely to find out. It doesn't matter if they follow you or not. In this day and age, ex-bedumpers will often find a way to have a little look about what you are doing. Even if you never had socials at the time of your relationship, you would be surprised how many exes try to have a look and search you out in the future. So whatever your position, there is always a chance to showcase the version 2.0 of yourself and to remember that your ex-bedumper is now from the outside looking in, and you can flip this round to be an advantage to you. Now, if you would like advice and support about how to try and increase the chance of one day getting your ex back, then you may want to consider my audio coaching service, where me and you can speak one-on-one about your unique specific situation. This is the best and diamond level of support that I can provide. Go to my website www.dateme.tips for more information about how I can become your coach and your teammate via my audio coaching service. Talking about your feelings can also improve your mental health. It helps prevent the buildup of negative emotions, which can lead to stress, anxiety, depression, and even physical health issues. Speak your heart to free your mind. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast. If you feel that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description. And point number 3 is they have walked a different path. So today we're speaking about why dumpers change forever after months apart. And point number 3 is somewhat sad to hear, but it presents you with an opportunity to use to your advantage. And the sadness comes from the fact that, of course, they have chosen to walk a different path. Their life is not going to be the same necessarily as you would have predicted. Obviously, you are not with them, but whether they are doing the same things that you thought they would, well, maybe they are, but quite often it's not as you would imagine. And hence, they are living their life in a different way. They are walking a different path. They are living through the single honeymoon period. And hence, they will be mixing with different people, having different experiences and different influences. What this means is they are not going to be the same person that you remember. Now, this doesn't mean they're going to be a worse person or a better person. what it means is they're going to be a little bit different. Now, how you can use this to your advantage is to make sure that you are outperforming what your expert dumper would imagine that you would be doing. Because just as you are thinking about the path they are walking, they will naturally think back and imagine the path that they predicted you would go on. Now, you can't influence their path, but you can absolutely influence yours. And it links into point number 2 a little bit about making sure you live your life the right way to become a version 2.0 of yourself. What you must also do, though, is make sure that you don't judge your ex for being somebody who is a bit different to how you remember. And this is where the advantage comes into play, because sadly, I've heard of many dumpees who reconnect with a dumper on a texting level, you might say, maybe a conversation, maybe a meeting, and they seem so shocked and surprised of how their dumper has changed, even just subtly, that they make mistakes. They make mistakes and they don't use the advantages that they have to try and stay cool, calm and collected by having the knowledge that this is expected. You need to make sure that you don't slip up in any way as described throughout today's podcast. And this also means not being shocked, not being blown over by the fact your ex is a little bit different. Again, it doesn't mean they're better, it doesn't mean they're worse, it just means they're likely going down a different path to what you predicted they would. Be aware of that, be ready for that. They are a different person, but that is okay, because unfortunately for you and for them, the relationship that you had was not working with you both as the people that you were. You were already going to use your advantages by not being shocked by their changes. You will already use your advantages of making sure that you're a better person than they remember. But now you need to bring this all together and make sure that you can develop a brand new relationship together if you are given the chance. Don't try and bring back the old relationship. The old relationship is finished. The old relationship is dead. But what is ahead of you is potentially much more exciting. A brand new relationship built on stronger foundations, where yes, you are still the core people that you remember, but there would be differences to get to know from one another, and you can almost start again in ways that maybe in the past you tripped up on. You can make sure this time round is even better. Now, if you feel that this podcast could help others, please share it in breakup communities, groups, and servers. We need to help as many people as possible and make sure that others don't trip up into mistakes that perhaps they would have done unless they knew the best route forward.